Hey guys, my name's Wire Guitars. I haven't done a video in a little while, and this video will surely be in a different format than the one that I kind of promised I would be doing videos in nowadays. So I do apologize for the, I guess, switch up in that regard, although I'm sure not too many of you will be disappointed to hear that I'm talking about Dota in this video as opposed to a random roguelite that you likely didn't subscribe to. So I guess I'm sorry, but you're also welcome. um, in this video, I didn't want to actually show any gameplay footage like I usually do or talk about anything related to the, I guess, like nitty gritty of Dota. I actually wanted to talk about a concept that I've been thinking about for a little while, and that is this is kind of like a Wire Guitars expose video, if you will, but not really exposing myself, more so to like exposing a huge, I guess you could say, like hypocritical aspect of the community that I've kind of, like I said, been thinking about a while, but I've actually held this opinion for a very long time. It's always kind of bothered me that a very large vocal majority of the community, that was pretty redundant, has always felt this way about this topic. And that topic in question is smurfing. Or rather, actually, boosted accounts and the implication that that has on the game, the community, the people that play the game professionally, people that play the game casually, etc., so forth. And I kind of already spoiled it, but the impression that I get from, like I said, the community at large is that it's a bad thing. You shouldn't buy boosted accounts. You shouldn't boost accounts. Boosting is bad. It's just wrong. You shouldn't do it. It's terrible. And like I said, I kind of already spoiled my position on it, but a little bit if you're a psych major like I am, Kappa. But my opinion on the matter is that there's a huge layer of hypocrisy that exists in the community in relation to how many people do, or I should say, how many people scorn and abhor boosters and boosting accounts in general versus how many people have Smurf accounts and don't mind Smurfing and take no moral. One second, my headset was trying to auto shut down. Yeah, how many people abhor, like the amount of people that abhor Smurf boosting and like what and think about like the long-term ramifications of if Dota never takes any, or I guess Valve rather takes no action against boosters whatsoever. Like the amount of people that like hypothesize ideas as to like how that will eventually destroy the Dota scene like pales in comparison to the amount of people that actually consider how negative smurfing is for literally the exact same reasons. And I kind of wanted to go over at least three of those that I was able to steelman, in my opinion. Of course, you can tell me if you think I'm biased here, and I likely am. I wanted to bring up these three likely arguments that you would see people defend boosting, or sorry, defend smurfing, not even really defend smurfing, attack boosters and not attack smurfers for, if that makes sense. Like people will bring up these arguments against boosters, but then will completely ignore how it affects them when they themselves go and boost. And I guess this is like somewhat discretionary, like a little bit of a like disclaimer that I should make apparent because there are a few people that know about this. I have Smurfed before. I don't own a personal Smurf account. I have shared one with a friend. I'd say I have probably a cumulative total of about 40 or 50 ranked matchmaking games on a Smurf account. I'm not innocent here. I'm not claiming that I am. I guess I don't know. I'm not really ashamed of it, but I will say that I don't play on that account anymore, if that makes anybody feel better about it, despite the fact that it probably won't. I don't really care. It's like this is just a hypocrisy that I notice in the community. I don't care if I'm guilty of it myself or not. I just feel like more people should be aware of this themselves. I won't go too much into it. I don't want to reveal any names, but I did share an account with a friend, and that friend got that account and put into low priority after I built its behavior score up. It was after like an 8-month break that I took from Dota. I was playing on a 4K account, like a low 4K account, like 4.1K. Thinking that like I got to get back into the game, and why play on a 5.5K account that like is my main, because that is my main, or at least it was at the time that I was getting back into the game, when I am probably not meant to play at that level, having taken an 8-month break from the game. So like I said, like technically you could say I myself have smurfed. I'm guilty of the exact same things that I'm going to bring up here. I'm not innocent. Okay, so with that out of the way, here are the three arguments. I'm going to go actually point by point and then bring up my counter arguments. So here's argument number one that I see a fair amount. brought up, is boosted players are ruining high-level pubs by making the games 4v5. And I think we can all kind of at least accept that that is true. It is not too hard to imagine that somebody who is like, say, 2 or 3K actual MMR buys a 5K account, gets into the game, tries to play carry, and gets like 20 CS in a somewhat free farm lane, like with very minimal harass in the first 10 minutes. And it's like, man, like, what's going on here, dude? You're not playing all that well. The counter argument that I have to that is not to dispel its truth claim. It is rather just to bring up that Smurfs often ruin low-level pubs in a similar fashion by making the games feel like it's a 6 or a 7v5. And people that Smurf don't take issue with this simply because they think that this kind of bleeds into point number 2, but they feel as though they have earned the right to shit on low-level pubs. They have earned the right to play at those lower skill brackets because they've achieved a higher level of skill, right? If I have achieved 5K, why does that make me unfit to play at 2K games? Isn't there backwards compatibility? Doesn't MMR work like that? Like, it doesn't go only one way up, right? You can go up and down, right? You just shouldn't be allowed to go from down to up mystically. You have to earn that skill gap. But if I play at a high level, I should be able to magically teleport down, if that makes any sense. I don't know if I'm making sense. Basically, you should have to earn your way to climb up. But if you magically decide, I'm not really feeling too good today, I had a bad day at work, I just want to go shit on some low-level pubbies, you should be allowed to mystically disappear from the high ranks of your main account onto some Smurf account and shit on some pubs, or some low-level pubs, on an account that you, again, clearly do not belong on, I suppose. Not to say that like you should have, there's not like more, I'm not trying to ascribe some sort of like moral truth here, right? There's no intrinsic negative to playing on a low level pub like a lot of people that abhor booster, people that play on boosted accounts do. Like they say like, it's just wrong, you shouldn't do it. Or they tell their friends like, you're ruining games, like don't do it, man. Like I'm not gonna be friends with you if you buy a boosted account. I'm not trying to say that if you Smurf you're a terrible person or anything like that. I'm merely trying to bring up the point that if you Smurf and you abhor boosters, you are probably hypocritical in a lot of ways. And again, this is one of them. And again, so if you Smurf, are making games feel like it's a 6 or a 7v5 because you are accounting for, like, you are essentially, especially again, like if you're a 5K or 6K player playing at like a 2 or 3K level pub, you are very more than likely holding the weight of 2 to 3 players worth at that bracket of skill on a singular player. Like you are going to be doing things that it would take like 2 to 3 people to like 2 to 3 people at that bracket to efficiently manage. And Dota doesn't exactly work like that. This isn't basketball. This isn't like you play man-on-man defense or something like that, where every player has to be accounted for by one other player. I'm just merely trying to bring up the argument that the counter argument rather that when people say like, oh my god, like a boosted player's in this pub, it's a 4v5 game because like this guy's going to do nothing all game. It's pretty similar if you go backwards and you have a 6K Smurf in a 2K game. It's going to be like, whoa, what the fuck, dude? This fucking support Undying is like 15-0. Like I didn't even think supports could like pop off that way, but this guy's got like Ags Greaves at 20 minutes. What the fuck is going on? And like our whole jungle is worded like. It doesn't matter the role. Like if you're a 6K player playing at a 2K pub, you're gonna just shit wreck that game, and it's not gonna be fun for anybody likely in that game other than you. Not even the people that are on your friends or that are on your team. They're just gonna be like along for the ride. Which again brings me into argument number 2, which is from the position of the people who dislike players that play on boosted accounts. It is that boosted players didn't earn the bracket of skill that they're playing at. And my counter argument to that is very similarly to the first one. It's that Smurfs didn't earn the bracket of the skill that they're playing at either, right? You did not earn a 2K MMR title, I guess, when you calibrated that season, or like by very nature of the fact that you're playing on a Smurf account, that is not your actual MMR. You did not earn 2K. Now, does that mean that if you made a new account and decided to play at an unoptimal level for yourself that you could not earn 2K? That's not the same, or that is not to say that that is the case. I will acknowledge that there is a very interesting and somewhat finicky aspect of the MMR, I guess you could say abuse of the MMR system, which is that people can just not play as well as they want to, or can, and artificially earn a lower MMR. Okay, I'm not trying to say that like you're only allowed to play at where your account places. No, obviously not. I'm just saying that, like, if the MMR system is to be taken seriously as people who abhor boosters claim that it should be taken, then everybody should be expected to be playing at a level at which they themselves can consider their best. And if you are playing at your best as a 6K player, you will not earn 2K MMR. Like, that's just point blank period done right there. Okay, so it doesn't make sense to say something like, man, I hate boosters because they just buy their accounts. They didn't even earn the skill that they're at. Oh, but by the way, like, you want to play some Smurf games later? I got a 2K account. Like, you didn't earn that either, dude. You earned your 4K MMR. You earned your 5K MMR. Go play on your 4 or 5K account. You're ruining 2K games. And the last one is, I'd say I see this one probably thrown around the most. It seems to me anyways, it seems to be like the most moral grandstanding-esque, if that's even like a term. Like, it seems to be the one that seems to like, or it seems to be the one that's the most like virtue signally, I suppose. Like, it's got a lot of weight behind it when people bring it up, which is that boosted players hurt the professional scene, because pros can't practice as well if they have a boosted player ruining their pubs, and that thereby hurts the longevity of the game, right? It hurts Dota to have boosted players in the game because pros can't get as good of practice. They have to go on to third-party websites or like in-house leagues like NADCL or something like that just to get good practice, and that sucks because that's not always available, or the prize pools for those are small, or they're not like compatible with their sponsors or some shit, whatever. And to that, I would argue that Smurfs do this too. People that Smurf at, especially like on new accounts, ruin the game just as much as boosted accounts ruin the game. Except the ways in which they're ruining the game is one that is harder to track and harder for people to acknowledge, which is they're hurting the casual scene of the game. It's incredibly difficult. Well, losing in general sucks, but especially if you're like new to a game, especially a game as like beautifully complex as Dota, and you're just getting shit wrecked every single game by like a Ricky who's actually a 6K Smurf, who's running around and they're permanently invisible, and you don't exactly know the full ropes of the game. You don't exactly understand like what measures you need to take into account to like shut down a Ricky at that level. You got for 50 games in Dota, your first 50 games in Dota, you think like Elder Titan is a good hero or something like that. Lol, if this video gets like, traction and a year later is out of date because Elder Titan's actually a good hero, but whatever. Like, and Elder Titan's actually a fine hero. Like, I'm just kidding. But, anyways, you're 50 games into Dota, you're 60 games into Dota, whatever, and you're thinking to yourself like, this guy is just destroying us. Like, it's disgusting. I don't even want to play the game anymore. This guy is just, every time I walk out of the base, he kills me. He's there. He's sitting on me. I can't have any fun. All I'm doing is staring at a gray screen every 50 seconds and like clicking once or twice just so I can go die. That's just not fun. Like, it destroys that person's impression of the game and hurts their I guess it influences their decision-making process in a negative way when they ask themselves the question, do I want to come back to this game? Is this game a game that I enjoy? Is this game a game that I want to play again? And that sucks. And I don't want to use too much anecdotal evidence. I don't even really want to use any anecdotal evidence, but I feel it necessary because if I don't, this video might seem a little bit too like tangential or nebulous. I was actually trying to teach my dad how to play Dota like 6 months ago, I want to say. And in several of his games that I would spectate, he would be playing on the computer right over there, but I don't know. It's right over there. There's a computer there, I promise. I'd watch several of his games, and I'd see like, I wouldn't watch the full game all the way through. In some of his games I did, but like for the majority of the time I was just trying to like kind of like armchair coach him, right? Like see him play, like, oh dad, you should do this right now. This is the rotation you should make. I wouldn't use the word rotation because it's a little bit complex, but I would just kind of give him general pointers. And every once in a while, like, you pull up the scoreboard after dying like the 16th time on Jakiro, and there'd just be this like 25-1 troll walking around just like murdering everybody. And I was like, man, fuck that guy, like, you're just it's very obvious. You watch the guy play and he's like got like 4 wards in his backpack. He's like very clearly carrying his team by himself because he just wanted some fun, and he's like a 4K player or a 3K player just shitting on new players. It does affect the community in a negative way. Whether you want to acknowledge it or not is besides the point. it's absolutely a factor to take into consideration, especially if, again, you abhor boosters just as much for the same reasons. I think it's important to acknowledge that Smurfs do impact the game in a similar level. Anyways, with that being said, I don't want to make this too long-winded. I hope that I kind of maybe shed some light on an argument, or I guess a position, or a topic rather, in Dota that not a whole lot of people seem to take a stance on. I guess you could call this an unpopular opinion. Maybe I'll title it that or something like that. But anyways, thank you very much for watching, and I appreciate it. Maybe I'll do something like this again sometime. Deuces.